What's up, guys? We are in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Roll Tide. We got McFarland Boulevard, which is right there. We are in smack dab in the heart of Tuscaloosa, right here on the main drag. This I would consider to be prime real estate. We're with Richard Henry again. It's part 3 of a series we're doing with Richard. Richard, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so this was the old Masters Inn motel. We bought this back parcel with about 110 rooms. I think the front parcel that we did not buy was about 32 rooms. And it was a sketchy, shady motel. They were in the process of losing their business license from the city. And a friend of mine was listing it for sale and called me. And, when we bought this probably 3 or 4 years ago, like workforce housing, affordable housing, all of that stuff was so hot button of a topic. We really wanted to try to offer a flexible product that, construction workers or travel nurses or just people needing something affordable and flexible. They didn't want to do a 12-month lease necessarily. So we put all this together, and I bought it with some partners, 2 brothers, and we came in, had to completely rehab the motel, had to add sprinklers because we were switching from like a lodging use to an apartment use. So it had to be sprinkled, and just fixed everything up. We filled in where the old pool was and then went into the units, and we furnished some. A lot of them are unfurnished. But our plan is we would rent to you like a base 12-month lease was like $500 plus $100 in utilities, because the whole property is still master metered from the hotel for power, water, everything. So you could rent like $600 for 12 months. And then if you went 6 months, it was like another $100, 3 months, another $100. So it'd be like $1,000 if you just wanted 1 month. So we thought that it was a great flexible product. We called it Flex Studio Apartments. And in the beginning, we had a fair amount of travel nurses and different things wanting fully furnished short term. But as time's gone on, I think the travel nurse market is slowed, and we're not seeing that flexible use. Now what we're seeing a lot of is just unfurnished 12 months because we're an inexpensive option for a 1-bedroom. But we can go inside and take a look. But they're still basically a motel room. Mm-hmm. We took out the old bathroom vanity and put in more of a kitchen sink style, but just has one. Again, the power all being master metered, all the electrical runs back to the main mechanical room. So it's not easy. There's not like an electrical service for each unit. So it's not easy to add power. So they don't have stoves in them. They do have a refrigerator and microwave, but they don't have a stove.
Gotcha.
So that is one knock on it, but it's 110 rooms or units. It's been real slow for us leasing them, but I think we're in the 80 range right now.
80%?
Yeah, or 80 units, so probably a little bit less than 80%. So
Gotcha.
we're probably in the 75% range. But for us, we bought it at a good price, so break even was around 50% occupancy. So
what are some ideas, or what could you do? Do you have any ideas to maybe make it? Well, first of all, does Tuscaloosa allow? They don't allow Airbnb, do they?
They do, but they heavily restrict it.
So they wouldn't even allow you to do that?
They would. We didn't really want to operate in that business because we're self-managing this, and so we wanted to make sure we were able to handle it.
Okay. I'll ask you some more. So this is just a typical motel.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old motel room setup. They had 2 queens in it. We came in and we switched this out. It just had like a sink, and we added some cabinets, microwaves. But the bathrooms are still pretty original. So this is by no means a fancy product, but that wasn't our target. Our target was for affordable.
So they've got some in Birmingham. I think they even have some down here, like extended stays.
That's right.
So that's kind of like the model.
Yeah, the weekly rental. You know, the difference there is you can just show up and pay with a credit card. So there's no credit, no background.
So you do
we
credit.
didn't do that. We run this. I mean, it's a traditional lease, traditional credit background. Just we run it like an apartment complex, not a motel.
Is there any thoughts on kind of switching that model to try to get that occupancy rate up?
If we would have gone shorter term, but when we changed the zoning to be able to be allowed for longer term, we can't legally do anything under 30 days. Because then you go into that hotel. So you can only do one or the other in our zoning code. You can either be an apartment or you can be a hotel. You really can't be both.
And you didn't want to be in the hotel business.
Yeah, I didn't want to be in the hotel business. So, but our goal is when we get this thing to about 90%, we'll take it to market and sell it. We don't really want to be long-term operators here. We've been in it a couple of years, and it's fine. So we've been real restrictive of who we rent to because we've got to deal with it. But when we do get it filled up, we'll take it to market and sell it.
Now, we didn't really talk about this. So, guys, if you haven't watched parts 1 and part 2 with Richard, we kind of briefly in the interview part, which is part 1, briefly kind of talked about what their business model is today. So Richard kind of talked me through, you are actively looking to sell parts of things that you buy if maybe it doesn't fit maybe your long-term approach.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, we analyze everything every year, like a return on equity, a cap rate, all this kind of stuff. And we may look at a property and go, we're not getting a very good return on equity. Well, we could run the debt up on it and borrow a bunch, but it's 7% right now. That's not as attractive to do. So we will look at something and go, hey, if we can get 10 years worth of cash flow out of selling it, or if it's a management nightmare, if we see big CapEx coming up in the future years, we will sell stuff. We 1031 exchange, but we do roll inventory, not normally real fast, but we will kind of slowly roll inventory over. And this, I've got some partners. It's operationally more involved than we like. So for me, I'd be happy to sell, and then we'll 1031 our half of the deal out into something else. And my partners are on the same page too.
So just going back to my old mobile home park days, I know a lot about master meters and things like that, which you just mentioned earlier. I got into a situation with the water where the water was on one bill. I got the bill and I had to go and separately bill everybody else. Everything for you is just on one thing. There's no way to really meter individually. No. So what I experienced kind of like some abuses of the water and abuses because they're not having to be held accountable. Are you kind of seeing some of that? Some units
it hasn't been bad. There's not a mobile home. You can have a hose and you can wash cars. We capped every outside hose bib, so there's no way to like wash cars here.
And for us, up underneath the trailers, there's leaks, and we don't even own the trailers anymore. But we're having to be responsible for other people's leaks.
We don't have as much of that exposure, and you can only do so much in 250 square feet. So it hadn't been as bad. I mean, the utilities aren't cheap. I mean, it's a big part of it, but there's no real way to divide it out. Yeah. So, I mean, the good or bad thing is there's only so much power capacity. Sure. If they pull too much power, they'll throw a breaker. Mm-hmm. And so there is some limit there.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some other challenges with this property besides, getting it rented?
Yeah, I mean, the challenge, most of it comes back to leasing, but I mean, it's desirability. Mm-hmm. Our thesis was that people were more motivated to have something inexpensive and flexible. And what really people want, they're willing to pay a little bit more to have something nicer mm-hmm. until you get into a bottom tier. And we're trying to stay out of that from a management standpoint.
Makes it harder to manage.
Yeah. I mean, and as you get into bigger properties, they get more complex, more things to spend money on. We've had to rewire units that we didn't know wiring was bad. We've just found underlying maintenance issues, but we believe in doing it right and making sure things are fixed right. So we've taken time to do that. So by the time we get done with it, we'll hopefully have worked all the bugs out of it for the next owner.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Richard. I think we're going to look at one more property, so stay tuned for part 4 of this series.